Hi, darling. Welcome back. Can we talk about how in South Africa you could be trendy now? You could be releasing banger after banger. And then I don't know what happens. A few months, a few years later, we forget about an artist. Like you could be the most popular artist this year. By the following year, we've already moved on to the next artist. So, on today's video, darlings, I want to talk about how South African artists have no longevity. Like, you know that in the South African media space, if you are a musician, an artist, a creative, you literally have a few years, sometimes even months, before we forget about you. And what motivated me to make this video was a post and a video by two artists. The post is on Twitter by Prince KB, and it reads, "You cannot have one artist dominating for decades. Every generation has its heroes, and I was a hero to mine. I pushed boundaries, set a standard, and unfortunately, everything has an end." And then I saw another video by Shoma Josie that talked about the very same kind of vibe. It had the same kind of vibe of everything has an end. Here's the video.
So much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Good to have you on the show.
Nice to see you. Nice to
But
see you.
I'm a little disappointed at the news that you are quitting music. Why, Shoma Josie?
It's true that this is going to be my last album. This is the lead single. Yes.
Okay.
There's quite a lot of reasons. I think the main one is that I feel that I have said everything I feel like I needed to say through music.
Is it?
Yeah, I said a lot. I've done a lot about culture, about language, about hair, about, being able to be, let's say, a woman without necessarily being hypersexualized and all of those.
Right.
Those are all points I wanted to make, and I made them, and I think I made them very well.
And you exported your music so brilliantly and effectively, hey?
Yeah, thank you.
So are you leaving music entirely, or are you going to focus on other elements like producing music?
No. The next project I'm going to make is a documentary.
Okay.
So I've received funding from National Geographic. I'll be making a documentary.
Nice.
And from there, I'm interested in kind of exploring more of the things that I studied,
Okay.
and other parts, other interests of mine.
Okay.
Let's talk about the catalog of South African artists that we've seen throughout the years. We have had Shoma Josie with her iconic mix of rap and her Tsonga culture and everything, with her vibrant hair and just very energetic dance moves. At some point, she was even performing internationally on American shows and worldwide. And then we had Moonchild. We had Moonchild with her big blue hair. She's still performing, of course, But there was a time when I remember Moonchild was everywhere, especially in the Gqom era. And keeping in mind, like, the Gqom era wasn't even years ago, it was so recent. And then we had Ubusiswa as well. Big in the Gqom era, like a lot of, like, we always talk about this, Uguti, there was no new year better than a new year between that era of 2012 till 2017, when artists like Abobusiswa were releasing music. And then we had rap as well. We had rap artists that I personally loved. Rouge. For me, Rouge gave South Africa almost like this American flavor. She gave international standard for me. I know I don't want to debate about it. We all have different tastes, but she gave off a very international standard type of rap and aesthetic. I remember even on TV when we used to have like these Afro soul bands and acoustic a cappella bands like the Muffins, the Soil. We used to have just a wide range of genres of artists that are creating beautiful music. I can go on an exhaustive list. Abotandiswa Mazwai. We've had so many beautiful artists throughout the years, and even most recently, like I don't know when she won Idols, but we had Amanda Black. There was a time when Amanda Black was everywhere. Like I remember when, like on Trace, on MTV, on Channel O, we used to see Amanda Black everywhere. So it just goes to show that South Africa is not lacking in talent. We're not. As I was doing my research on this topic, I wanted to find out why. Why are South African artists not being like solid brands for years? Why don't their names have longevity? And I found a few problems, and I'm gonna narrow down the problems to just 4 problems. I know there could be multiple other issues, so let me know in the comment section what other issues you think, but also mention other artists that I could have included in this breakdown. So let's get to the problems. The first problem is the expenses of being an artist. So I was reading an article by The Conversation. It's a website called The Conversation, and the article was talking about why South African artists die in poverty. And there were a few key things that I noticed that I found quite intriguing. Like for the fact that even in the South African context, you could be the most recognizable artist, a star, a very popular like artist, but you could be earning anything between 26,000 Rand and 30K on average. Like I'm talking about like a huge star. And then on top of that, the expenses of rehearsal, training, and perfecting your skill, studio sessions, buying equipment, buying your costumes. There's so many other things that are involved in this process that we don't talk about. Like I notice a lot of creative people, I consider myself a creative as well. I think a lot of creative people don't focus on the admin stuff. We're not educated on the admin stuff that comes with being an artist. So the expenses on a 26,000 Rand salary, you cannot cover all those things. Touring as well. The second problem that I noticed is poor artist management. Like, can we talk about, I'm just using a lot of popular examples. You can see an example of an artist who's properly managed, like Tyler. You can just tell that Tyler has a huge team behind her. You can just tell that the management is amazing. And I feel like for a lot of the other artists, it's like their management, as soon as they are not trendy or they're not the big artists, your management is always ready to drop you for the next hot thing. And it's also because management focuses on, it's a business, let's be honest, it's a business. So management is focusing on making sure that you are trendy and you are making us money. That's why you will find different artists in the same management or booking agency, but they're not getting the same level of recognition. It's poor mismanagement of the artist. The third problem as well that I noticed is the support when it comes even from the top, which is government spending. I'm not saying, obviously they should spend more money on hospitals and education, but I do believe that arts is one of those departments in South Africa that is neglected. The fourth problem is the TikTokification of music. So one thing that you'll notice about TikTok is that TikTok deals with sound bites or the catchy part of a song. Like you notice that you usually hear the nice part or the exciting part or the hook of a song in 30 seconds or like 16 seconds, you don't encapsulate the entire feel of the music. And I noticed even international artists were complaining about this, that they hate performing now because, first of all, people are on their phones, and because of the TikTokification of music, people are only there to watch that trendy part of your song. Like, there's an artist that talked about this, that people only watch like the trendy part of a song, the catchy part of a song. They'll literally take out their phones to record the most viral part of the song. That has caused that a lot of people to not care about an entire body of work. So, as I was trying to grapple and detangle and understand some of these problems in the music industry, and as someone who likes watching podcasts, I did a bit of research and watched a few videos on the McG podcast, and two influential people talked about this. It was Lasizwe and Unati, and I want us to watch a few of their videos, which I feel kind of give us some light. They shed some light into why South African artists don't have longevity. Okay, so let's get to the two videos and I will add my breakdown of everything at the end.
Then it becomes a bit difficult again to go up again. Hence why it's very difficult for musicians when their first song is a hit, for them to come up with another hit. Because your trajectory hits so high that when you drop, it's like shit. Hence why it's so important that when you're a musician, your name is known before your song is. Because for me, till this day, I don't know who sings Dralabam.
Oh, it's EQ. It's EQ that Rima.
He was literally sitting in this chair.
He was here.
Yeah.
Oh, hectic.
Sorry.
No, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
But that's how big the song is.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
You know, so the song is massive. You created that, but we don't know the song and who created the song.
So I always say, if you can't sell a poster as an artist,
you always say this. Hey?
Yeah, if you can't sell a poster, and if they can't put your face on a poster and say, be there or be told, and people are not like,
Yeah.
no,
I'm
to be
coming,
there.
I'm coming, fire, fire.
Until they have to put in brackets, Zilo Lawa my power. Now people are like, oh! Now they are buying.
You know what I mean?
Why do you think the winners never really make it? Like,
And it's something I used to tell them every year. Every year I would have a chat with the top 16 before they went into after theatre week, and then I would have a chat with the top 2. The reason why is we had the best of everything.
Okay.
Best cameramen, best sound technicians,
Yes.
best engineers.
yes.
Best makeup artists, best hairstylists. Hosts, brother. They got a wardrobe allowance. So everything they wore, they got to take home. Every week, I think they lasted on the show after top something.
Yeah.
Each contestant would get 10,000 Rand. The biggest stages we've had John Legend on the show, Sierra.
yeah.
You know what I mean? We've had humongous people. The moment the person wins, the next morning, we're gone. We're focusing on next season.
Those support structures are gone.
We're focusing on next season.
The machine is gone.
Mac.
Oh, I see.
Our conversation we were having before the show,
Yes.
now all of a sudden, you got to know there has to be an events division.
Yeah.
There has to be HR. There has to be PR. There has to be marketing.
What I like about these two videos from Lasizwe and Unati is that it gives us an insight into the background things that we don't think about when it comes to being a musician. So I didn't know that there is a level of importance of building a brand. There is a very important aspect that you have to build a name before you build or you try and establish yourself. There must be a name attached to you. There must be a brand identity that you need to have so that you have longevity. You need to be so recognizable. And that I think you can achieve by also venturing into other aspects of music, like merch, other aspects that just make your name more solid. And that's something I appreciated from the Lasizwe clip. And then Unati pointed out some of the most harder background parts of being an artist. She mentioned that you need to have such a wonderful, well-oiled machine to have longevity as an artist. And as we've seen with a lot of contestants on Idols, they will be popular on the show, and then the show ends, we forget about them, or they disappear. And that's because they had support, they had a team. I didn't know that you need to have an HR department, you need to have PR departments, you need to have a wardrobe department, you need to have all these other aspects that create the brand or the artist in the background. Like, there's so much in the back that I personally just feel like we don't know about. And I think it's the same for artists, because some people are talented musically, sonically talented, but they don't have the access to education. So you can finish a show like Idols and then you are forgotten because you don't have a huge team behind you. And I want us to be honest. Artists like Doja Cat, I know that Doja Cat would have been popular even if she was in South Africa, but we know it wouldn't be at that level. We know there would be a cutoff point where we forget about her. She doesn't get the support that she needs because the market in South Africa is just unfortunately not as lucrative. It's quite volatile, and there's no appreciation of music or the arts in our culture, in our country. There's not culture. I know someone's going to drag me. Not in our culture. In our culture, we appreciate it. But in terms of media, like, music is not appreciated. The arts is not appreciated. It's underfunded. I think about the fact that it's so beautiful how Tyler has been able to make an international name for herself. And that's because she's talented, beautiful, but also there's a team, there's a well-oiled machine behind her. She's going to these events like the Met Gala and socializing and networking, which elevates her name. And I think that some of the solutions to South African artists having longevity is having an international market. So you need to make sure that your music can translate well internationally as well, because if we rely on South Africa only, or the South African audience, to promote your music, that is quite, I feel like that's a futile endeavor. And that's why a lot of artists either burn out or they stop making music, because there's very little support here. You are expected to perform at your highest standard, but you don't have the financial support. People don't want to pay more money for local artists. Let's be honest. People don't want to pay more money for local artists. And it's very demotivating for an artist, to a point that there's another thing that worries me, is that when you're an artist and you're trendy, this is something I don't like about being trendy, is that you are going to be expected to produce and produce and produce and perform and perform and perform. Like, that's why you find new artists, as soon as they release something trendy, they have to perform almost every weekend. And that can cause actual fatigue, where the artist doesn't want to go to any events anymore. Like, you have to perform like a machine. I think another solution could be for South African artists is endorsement deals. A lot of American artists also survive because they have endorsement deals, but also they produce a lot of merchandise. So I think South African artists will have to obviously branch out to an international market. I think I've seen Moonchild do that, and I've seen a few like artists like the Muffins. They perform internationally, which allows them at least to have some kind of audience and be able to survive like the waves of being a musician. Because let's be honest, artists don't get paid a salary. 1 month they get paid, the other month they don't even know if they're going to get paid. And I believe that there needs to be more education around SAMRO. SAMRO, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's called the South African Music Rights Organization, I think. And I think that they should be aware of such organizations, and I think the organizations as well should implement and scale new talent, because that department or that organization deals with a lot of copywriting, licensing, making sure that an artist will continue to eat from their music years to come. If their music is used in a movie, in a commercial, the copyright and licensing is so important. I feel like South African artists also deserve to eat like international artists. Like they need to know that even if when I retire, my music, my artistry is going to support me through all of this. So, why is this topic important to me, and why is it important to you as you engage in this conversation? As someone who has traveled internationally, one thing that is so obvious, a theme that is so obvious whenever I talk to people abroad and I tell them, oh yeah, I'm South African, the first thing people remember about South Africa is our music. It's our artist. That is the key component that puts South Africa on the map. And I'm always worried at the lack of investments that we get, especially for arts and culture. I think arts and culture is so important for the image and creating more attention and opportunity of a country. Like music is one of those things that has put South Africa on the map, let's be honest. And I'm always shocked that they invest so little in art and culture. Remember when Tyler won a Grammy? I was shocked when now the South African government wants to involve themselves and say, oh, congratulations, da 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 da. It's like a deadbeat father coming back into your life once you start making a name for yourself or you become successful. For me, I think we need to also prioritize artists. I understand why a lot of talented people leave the country, and art is so important. Guys, a lot of countries invest so much into creating art that we don't do that in South Africa. I think it's one of those disciplines where, even starting a career in art as an artist or studying anything in the creative space, you're worried about your longevity or stability. So I'm not surprised when our most talented people leave the country and work abroad. So let me know what you think. Tell me in the comment section which artist I probably forgot to mention in this conversation, because I know we have a huge catalog of amazing artists that we have seen throughout the years. So darling, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.